Welcome into the Pick a Side podcast, a divisional round and national title recap edition. I had to remember where we are in the week. Shea, Norling, Tyler Aki with you as always. Tyler, how you feeling?
I'm good, man. Great natty last night. Glad we got ourselves a game. Was fun, thrilling, start to finish. Maybe start a little slow, but I think that was just it almost reminded me of a Super Bowl type atmosphere where you've got two
Yeah.
teams trying to figure each other out, kind of playing a little rope a dope for the first couple of minutes, and then all of a sudden, after the first quarter was over, it was buckle up, let's go, and the offenses came alive a little bit.
I'm a sucker for high level defensive line play, so I like loved it. Start to
You got
finish, I
your
thought it
wish,
was
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I thought it was a really well played game, both sides of the football. Obviously, Indiana gets the job done. Miami covers the number, which again, like that's where I feel like we got to watch out next year, especially for some of those overreaction spots where we felt like Oregon was the right thing to do in the Oregon Indiana game, and then we get a week later and we're like, well, we were clearly wrong, so we must now ride with Indiana. Miami, if they had gotten their offense going earlier, they might have just won. Like once they got going, to me, the second half, they were clearly the better team. It just Carson Beck shit himself on that final drive.
Yeah, I mean there was a couple of different moments in the game. Obviously, the block punt completely swings this game. Both
Yep.
sides of the spread were certainly viable to win in this game throughout. And for me, I look at this Indiana team and I just kind of got those 23-24 UConn basketball vibes with it. And I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I'm just going to ride this right now. They are boat racing everyone. I don't regret where I ended up going on the play there, but yeah, no, I mean, congrats on your win, and good for Miami. I mean, I'm glad Miami showed some fight and were in the game and even had the ball with a chance to
Yeah.
win at the end.
I'm glad that they got off the mat a little bit because what I will say is like a defensive led game that becomes offensively skilled is a fun one to watch. If this had been a game where Miami's never able to get up and start finding soft spots in Indiana's coverage and Indiana's front, we would have been looking at Indiana winning this thing like 17-3, maybe 17
Yeah,
nothing in one of the most boring games you would have ever watched.
yeah,
So I am glad at least that Miami got up and started playing some football. I mean, I can't say enough about Mark Fletcher Jr. at the back. He was awesome yesterday. Malachi Toney's been great all year. Skill players from Miami really have been like fantastic.
yeah.
You're not going to keep those guys bottled up for 60 minutes, and I think Indiana figured that out. Also, Curt Cignetti, not on the final possession, but on the one before the final possession, understanding 4th and 5, chance to go up 6. Let's just go for it here. We're already up 3. Let's just go, and it results in a Fernando Mendoza touchdown. I thought he should have done it again on the second possession, but I get Miami's got no timeouts. It's length of the field. Carson Beck's got to get a touchdown. Do you have faith in it? And like, if that's the way you lose, you live with it to an
Yeah.
extent. Because Miami did get in field goal range or close enough to it that they would have been flirting with overtime at Indiana not put 3 points up.
I think, yeah, situation matters. And we talk a lot about the what do you do in terms of going up 10 versus going up 6. It's obviously a much lower risk to go up 6 from a you're getting points standpoint, but it's the flip side of what happens defensively after that. I
Yep.
thought the decision to go with Mendoza, everything about that play and the decision was just guts. It was a gutsy call to go for it. It obviously could have backfired on them. And that was one of the gutsiest runs you'll see. Listen, man, Fernando Mendoza was only there 1 year. The guy deserves a
Yep.
statue at IU for what he did in his 1 year. He won the Heisman, which for a lot of places is a barometer to just get your number retired. I think that's no question. Fernando Mendoza, even though he was just there 1 year, is getting his number retired there. And I think there's a case for the statue too. And I think that play in the national title game of him diving over the end zone, that's what you sculpted after. Seriously, like, is it too big of a stretch to say Mendoza is a statue worthy guy at IU?
No, no. Cignetti's going to get a statue. Put it right outside Assembly Hall. I mean, Mendoza's going to get a statue. Cignetti's going to get a statue. Both of them. At this point, fuck it, dude. I'd give Brian Haynes a statue with what he was able to do with their defense. I'd just like put Cignetti and Brian Haynes together on the same statue. I'd have Cignetti doing the like raised eyebrow look
Yeah.
around thing when they gave the first down to Miami, and
What
just
about him?
Haynes with a clipboard.
What about Cignetti just like holding up a beer? Just like a cheers.
I'd be cool with that too. Yeah, can we get Fernando Mendoza doing a scripted speech just permanently outside of Assembly Hall on a
Ripping an
statue?
F-bomb post-game yesterday too. How about that?
Good for him, because you know what? I will say too, I believed that Fernando Mendoza was a swearer. I never bought the clean cut, the like, we're the flipping champs. I never bought the clean cut act. So coming out yesterday and letting it fly, good for him. Thank you.
But
America needed that.
even like the way that he swore felt robotic.
Yeah, a little bit.
It felt like force. It was like the PR team was telling him to do that just to like save your own image here.
Well, dude, you know what it is now. These kids get so much money, and they're like, you're going to be the number one pick in the draft. You get teams of people coming in to like tell you how you got to be. So I get it. It is what it is. But no, look, for Indiana fans, I think it's awesome. I don't think they're going anywhere. Their transfer portal this offseason is kind of astounding. You pick up guys like Nick Marsh out of Michigan State, pair him with Charlie Becker. Also, just from a developmental perspective, a guy like Charlie Becker sticks out at Indiana because they detailed it on the broadcast yesterday. When Cignetti got there, he basically told everybody, find a new spot. And Charlie Becker, for whatever reason, was told, don't stay here. You'll be all right. And he went from special teams guy to one of the leading receivers for IU on a national title team. He's coming back. So Charlie Becker and Nick Marsh together, and you go get John Hoover, the quarterback out of TCU, they're going to be an Natty favorite again next year.
Yeah, I think you look at what has been done with Cignetti, and something that we've talked a little bit about before, but I think he is a mastermind of finding the needle in the haystack. Like, he's been doing this all with 3-star guys or even less. Now, all of a sudden, he's getting 4- and 5-star transfers into Indiana. Now we get to see what it looks like when
Yeah.
he gets to basically have the Bama rosters that he had when he was an assistant under Saban, at least comparatively to the rest of the sport. I'm not saying that there's a Julio Jones or a Mark Ingram or Derrick Henry on this team. There's not. But can he turn them into those players? I think he can. I think he can elevate some of these guys who are 3- and 4-star guys into looking like 4- and 5-star guys, really. And like if he does have 5-star guys, I think he can turn them into like first round and maybe even like top 10 picks like he did with Mendoza.
Yeah, I think that's the big picture of it. Is I don't think people were right in getting out over their skis this year and saying that this version of Indiana was up there with the 2019 LSU team. Like, I think I had a come to Jesus moment throughout the week where I let myself think it a little bit. And then as the week went on, I'm like, all right, really, let's dial it back in. Let's reel in the take. LSU's winning that game by 15, 16 points minimum. Now I'm going and like, but next season, Indiana could build that. Like, if this is just what SIG is, and you're just going to keep getting the best quarterback, and now you're going to get the best transfers, you might be able to build something actually resembling what that team was.
With all the talent, yeah. I mean, now it's not like the pedigree per se. Like, some of these guys have just developed over the course of college. And I think whenever we talk about some of these historic teams, what does get lost in how dominant they were in college is we kind of put their NFL careers into their college careers, which I think is
Yeah,
unfair to a
that's
degree.
fair.
Like, Joe Burrow was fantastic that senior season, one of the greatest seasons you'll ever see. But it is worth noting, Joe Burrow was one of the worst quarterbacks in college football, like the year before that. And then just he was infused with talent around him. Joe Brady was a giant influence on that too, on that offense. And sometimes I think we elevate teams because of what their NFL careers are. Um, I think as good as that Miami team was, like, a lot of those guys ended up playing pro, and some are even in the Hall of Fame. That LSU team is going to have a number of Hall of Famers. This Indiana team, I don't think is going to have a single NFL Hall of Famer on it.
Yeah.
If I had to guess. But I don't want that to take away from how dominant they were in the regular season
Definitely not.
and in their playoff run. Because if you kind of go through their Grim Reaper run here, you took down the highest prestige program in your conference title game. You took down in the first round that you played in the playoff, one of the highest prestige programs in the history of the sport. Then you took down one of the new school prestige programs and one of the richest programs and highest budget rosters in the sport with Oregon. And then after you dismantled Oregon, you went up against a historical power. You kind of did it against a little bit of everybody here on your path to a title. And that's what's so fascinating to me is this team that entered a season ago that was the losingest power conference team in college football history. And
Yeah.
you slayed all those boogeymen along the way. Like that's what made it so fun for me. Now I will say honeymoon's over. Like the Sig stuff right now is fun. It's cool. Next year, he's the villain. That
Yeah.
guy is the absolute villain of the sport. It goes Lane Kiffin 1 and then Curt Cignetti 2.
I think it was over for me before the game kicked off. I mean, I make no bones about it. I was rooting for Miami yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted Miami to win the game. There comes a point where I've now watched 3 consecutive Big Ten teams win national titles, and I wasn't even fucking sniffing the playoff in that conference. It's becoming a little annoying. Like now I'm whoever it is in the Big Ten can get it. So I'm done with the storybook Indiana stuff.
Yeah.
But I do want like a reaction on just big picture Cignetti. Where does he rank among all timers? When you think of like the great coaches in the history of sport, obviously he's not going to have the achievement of a Nick Saban. He doesn't have as many rings as like Bear Bryant or Urban Meyer. But doesn't winning it at Indiana the way that he won it, going 16-0, the only team ever to go 16-0. Who knows when that's going to happen again? Could be next year, could be never. What does it count for comparatively to like Urban winning at Ohio State or Saban winning a bunch at Bama or winning at LSU? Because remember, Saban tucked tail. He was at Michigan State, saw the writing on the wall, and bailed, and went to LSU where he won a natty. Like that, if this were the Saban pathway, Sig would have gotten to IU and launched himself to get to LSU to win an natty, and he didn't. He stayed and he won. And I get it was only 2 years, but like there still has to be some level of credit to I could do it here. And he did.
I think there's a currency exchange. I mean, one Indiana title is not equivalent to one Bama title. Even though you're putting up the same number of banners, you're getting the same number of trophies to display in your facility. It's not the same, man. It's really not. It almost feels like it's a 1-3. One Bama title is worth, or one Indiana title is worth like 3 Bama titles. And I know that may sound weird to people because you only get to buy one championship shirt or hat out of it. There's only 1 year that gets put on it. But I think the impact of it, when Indiana fans never expect a college football national title ever.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, with Bama or Georgia or something like that, the expectation every year is that you are going to go out and compete for a national title. Indiana fans, even if they keep expanding this playoff, like if you told Indiana fans 2 years ago when Cignetti took the job that the college football playoff was expanding to 64 teams, Indiana fans would still say, well, we're still not going to even sniff that. We may get in once in the next 20 years. And for them to not only get in twice in a 12-team format and then ultimately win it. And I think what you said too about 16-0. 16-0 is fucking impressive. Like think about even like NFL seasons used to be 16 games long. How many times did we see a team go 16-0 in the regular season? Once.
One
right?
time.
Like the 72 Dolphins went 15-0 and obviously capped it off with the title, but 16-0 in a regular season to win 16 straight games, which I believe has only been done by 2 teams in NFL history. That's nuts. That's crazy. The war of attrition that it takes to go through that and the familiarity aspect. And I mean, you faced an Oregon team twice. You slayed the dragon, you slayed the demon of Ohio State in the Big Ten title game.
Yeah.
All of it, man. All of it was just, I can't believe that a team is able to do that. And of all teams to do it, it's the Indiana freaking Hoosiers. It's crazy.
I know.
It's crazy.
I know. It's just like I don't know where he fits on the list of all-time coaches, but I know he's one of them. I'm going to look back and feel like Cignetti is as maybe not Saban. Saban is a bit like Tom Brady in that you're so much the greatest. Michael Jordan, you're so clearly the greatest that like we're going to hold you in your own kind of stratosphere. But I think in that next tier, I would have Cignetti somewhere.
if I was to make a cross sport comp, and it's the same sport, but it almost reminds me of like a Gale Sayers or Calvin Johnson case in terms of they are one of the greatest to ever play their position.
Yeah,
But the sample size was so limited because their career was
yeah.
so short. But when you saw it, you couldn't deny it. That when they were going, they were one of the best in their profession.
It's it's like Sean Taylor at safety, and you're like,
Yeah.
he was one of the greatest who's ever played the position. His career got cut short tragically, but he's one of the greatest who ever played the position. I agree. Like Calvin Johnson's a good example. Gale Sayers a good example because you look at it and you go, okay, Calvin's one of the 5 greatest who ever played wide receiver, but he's not Randy Moss. You know what I mean? It's the same. Gale Sayers one of the 5 greatest who ever played running back, but he's not Walter Payton.
Right. But
Like,
you could say if they played 15, 17
right,
years, they could have been.
right,
And I think we're going to be looking at this with Sig because, like, he's what, 63, 64 years old right now?
right.
Like, he could, if he's probably only going to do this for like 5 or 6 more years, I'd imagine. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we're being honest with each other here. But if he still had the runway to do this for 15, 20 years, we could be talking about him as maybe the greatest to
100%.
ever do it.
100%. Yeah, so that's what I've got on the Natty. I'm really impressed by Indiana. It feels like it was an hour never moment for Mario Cristobal a little bit, and I think it's probably going to be never, but I won't say that. I mean, really impressed with Cristobal getting to this spot.
Right.
I didn't think it was possible. It felt like we were waiting for the Carson Beck backbreaker all playoff, and then it finally happened in the national title game on the final drive. That would have been, you talk about a redemption drive or a
Yeah.
legacy drive. If Beck delivered that one, the way we're talking is so different right now. So it was a good game. It was a really good natty. It had a lot of storylines. As a reminder, before we pivot to the NFL, we are available on YouTube, youtube.com/@PickAsideESPN. Go like a video, subscribe, leave us a comment. It helps us out. We're also available wherever you get your podcasts. Please rate, review, subscribe. All right, NFL playoffs. We good on the college stuff?
Let's do it.
So if you missed any of the Bears conversation, it's available here on Pick a Side Podcast. We did a full 2-hour show reacting to the Bears stuff yesterday. So if you want that, you can go find it. We're going to do the other 3 games here. Really, Seahawks Niners is the one I want to start with because there isn't a lot to say. It's Niners ran out of gas. It was the fear I had. It was the reason I was all over Seattle. It was just, I was so impressed with everything they did going to Philadelphia and winning that game. But then I look at it objectively, and it's short week, road game against a team that's got a rest advantage. Can you really turn this trick again with all the injuries? And we very quickly saw that the answer was no. But it was, what were the first 2 scores of the game? I mean, it was like in the blink of an eye, it was 17-0. You had the opening kick return, and then Seattle's just putting it on them, turnover after turnover for San Francisco. There was no getting out of that game for the Niners.
Yeah. I think the question that comes out of this, because 41-6 in the NFL, especially in the NFL playoffs, I don't think tells a story per se.
No,
I don't think tells a full story because I think it's more fluke than anything else. And that's not to say that I think Seattle's a fluky team. It's not true.
I agree with
the
you.
Better team. But it's like these results don't happen in the NFL. But I think the question that sits with Seattle is how truly good are they? And I think they're damn good. I think they're like absolutely can win the Super Bowl. They might be the best team remaining in this dance right now. But I just want to know, like, what is the magnitude of how good Seattle is? Because 41-6, I don't think tells a story, especially when you're running back an opening kickoff. You can't predict stuff like that. But when I'm talking about like how good is Seattle, I think defensively they showed you how fucking good they are.
Yeah.
You hold this Niners offense to 6, 2 weeks removed from holding them to 3, and we're talking about it as one of the best offenses in football. That's a damn good team. It's a damn good defense. And like offensively, I mean, when you get out to a 17-0 lead in the first quarter, there's not a whole heck of a lot you had to do. Sam Darnold wasn't asked to do a lot in this game. He didn't need to do much in this game. Kenneth Walker was fantastic, averaging over 6 yards a carry and had the 3 touchdowns, but he never had a run longer than 15 yards too. So sucks. The news of Charbonnet sucks, tearing his ACL, because I think he's important to what they do offensively. But you kind of got to holster back all your offensive plays in this game
Yeah.
because you didn't have to really put anything on tape because your lead was so big.
The one thing I'd say is, and we're not doing picks today, but I just if we're looking ahead at all, I'd be very careful if you're somebody that's like, oh, the Seahawks just destroyed the Niners and they're only 2.5 point favorites. Click. I'd be very careful doing that because, like you're saying, I think you're dead on. 41-6 is more fluke than anything. You get an opening play kick return, you get turnover after turnover, and then you're up 17-0. Not only do you not have to show anything offensively, your defense knows exactly what the assignment is every time they get on the field. It took Kyle Shanahan's play sheet went from 150 calls to about 15 in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like you didn't get an honest look at what San Francisco's offense is. You didn't get an honest look at what Seattle's defense is. You didn't get an honest look at what Seattle's offense is. It was so sideways, so fast that you can't call plays the way that you planned on calling plays if you're San Francisco. And if you're Seattle, you just get to defend knowing Purdy's dropping back. They don't run the ball well to begin with, and now they're down 17 points. I know what that looks like. They're going to throw the ball. So it just be careful taking, wow, that was a dominant performance. They're clearly better than anybody else. It's how you get yourself in trouble, which if we do touch on Rams Bears at all, it would just be my reminder, guys, the Rams put almost 600 yards on the Seahawks defense in Seattle. Like, I can't wait to watch that game.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could look like what we were just talking about with the national title game too, where Indiana boat raced Oregon, and everyone's all over Indiana and the Natty, myself included, because you just want to ride the Lightning, and it looks very different when you get to a higher stakes game with a better opponent on the other side. So,
Yep.
Yeah, that would be my buyer beware. Niners side of things here, I mean, hell of a season, man. This
Unbelievable.
team should not have been where they were. They really shouldn't have. Any other teams doing draft prep at this point in the stage of the season, maybe even doing head coaching search right now with the injuries that were sustained. But what this Niners team is, I mean, they're going to be back.
Yep.
They're going to be back. They've got the bones and the infrastructure. Now, it is starting to become an aging roster. But I trust the team to just draft well too, and make the requisite acquisitions in the offseason.
Their problem, and I don't even believe this thing is real, but their problem honestly is going to start becoming that they have to deal with this fucking electrical substation, and free agents don't want to come to the team.
Well, if you see there's like conversation, they may move this stuff.
Yeah, like your point about there being an aging roster, there's a part of me that feels like this window is shut now that they are paying Brock Purdy, and that look, Kittle's going to retire in all likelihood. I can't imagine
the injuries that retire.
Dude, the injuries that he took down I've one, if he comes back, I don't know that he's going to be George Kittle anymore. And two, if like that's the big thing, if he comes back, I don't know. He's taken so much damage in the last couple of years. Dude, your body only takes so much. We see it often in the NFL that a guy who we think has time left to go just hangs it up because the body can only take so much. How long's Trent Williams going to play? You know what I mean? How long is Fred Warner going to play? It is Nick Bosa. How long are you going to remain an elite player with the injuries he's taken? It is an aging roster. But I trust Shanahan. I trust that front office. So we'll see.
I don't know where they stack up age-wise in terms of like the actual age and where they rank. But in football years, with the injuries that they've sustained, I think you're dead on. They're probably the oldest roster in terms of football age right now.
And it's that, like, you see old rosters, but it's filled with a lot of players who are like veteran journeymen. The level of impact that the Niners are generating out of players who are getting older. That's, I think, the thing is like, all of your best players are starting to age out at the same time. It's a little Chiefsian in that way, where like Mahomes isn't necessarily looking old, same as Purdy, but he is getting paid a lot of money. And now Kelsey looks old, and Chris Jones looks old, and some of the corners look old. And you go, okay, we got to reset this roster a little bit.
Yeah. I think, and like the opposite can be said about the Rams too. Like the Rams, I mean, you've got Devontae Adams on your roster, and you've got Matt Stafford, who's one of the oldest players in the league this year. So your average age is up, but you don't have injury concerns really with Devontae Adams. Like, he may get a stinger here or
Right.
there and miss a game, but there's not real concern there. Matt Stafford's had the back issues and hand issues and stuff like that, but you don't really worry about Matt Stafford's toughness and him missing a game. No, he's just gonna play, and they're not gonna like suffer these like, obviously freak stuff can happen, but it's not like there's these recurring things like what we see with the Niners.
Yeah.
And I think Kittle is going to play next year. He just strikes me as one of those guys who he's a football player. He knows one thing in life. If anyone invites pain into their life, it is George Kittle. It feels like the guy's
Sure.
just one of the toughest MFers in the entire sport. I think he at least tries to ride this out, and he'd rather see it and know like he gave everything out there than feel like he still has a little something left. And I'm certain he's a guy who feels like he definitely has something left right now.
Denver Buffalo 33-30 total theater. It was an unbelievable watch. Denver winning the game. Unfortunately, every storyline coming out of this game is either the most fucking annoying thing you've ever heard, which is the rules controversy and people not understanding what a catch is, or the final scene of Uncut Gems, i.e. Broncos fans finding out that Jarrett Stidham is going to start in the conference title game. Like,
Yeah.
it.
Who came out of this feeling worse? Because like Bills fans, at least the silver lining is you're moving on from your head coach, which is something that's probably overdue at this point. And I don't
Yeah.
know if you get to that if you win this game. And maybe it was the same thing that like Steve Bisciotti said about John Harbaugh, where if he had won against the Steelers, he was asked how much longer would he have been the head coach, and he says, "Well, another week." But like
Yeah.
the writing was always on the wall. Maybe that's the case with Buffalo too. Obviously, if they win the Super Bowl, you're not firing Sean McDermott. But I wonder like who came out of this feeling better. Is it Bills fans? And again, I think both of them feel shitty coming out of this. But is it Bills fans who all of a sudden they have a new look on life and they get to go find a new head coach to pair with Josh Allen to hopefully better this thing for the future? Or is it Broncos fans who are like, yeah, we're in the AFC title game, but we have to run out Jared Stidham now for next week?
My guess is it's Broncos fans because at least they're still playing. Like, you have a week of mental gymnasticsing your way into. Jarrett Stidham can win this game.
Yeah.
At least you have that. Bills fans, I mean, we've talked about for years, it feels like it was now or never for the past couple years for me. Like, you got to prove that you can get this done. And this was really, the path was tailor-made. No Mahomes, no Lamar, no Jackson. No Mahomes, no Lamar, no Burrow, if I can get all my names correct. It felt like the path was made. And I think the team was probably the worst that Josh Allen's ever dealt with in his time taking teams to the playoffs. But the path was the easiest. And if you couldn't get it done now, then McDermott, you had to go. So the question, I think it's difficult, man, if you think you're going to just find a coach that's going to make this work. Because now you're also dealing with and I love Josh Allen, but now you're going to deal with the issue of how long can he use his legs the way that he's used his legs? And when he has to become a pocket passer, sort of like we've seen Lamar, I think, age quicker than any quarterback in my life, where his ability to use his legs is an X factor. It's
Like
almost already gone. Yeah. Like once that goes away, and it's hard to say it because Josh Allen still has it right now, but again, took the highest sacks in his career this year by a lot. Once you lose what made him so different, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And that's where I think the concern can start to set in for Buffalo.
It's when you lose pocket elusiveness is when you start to, I think the clock speeds up at that point. Cause like he's not a spring chicken anymore, especially when you look at this new crop of quarterbacks. Like there was a world where we could have seen an NFC and AFC title like foursome that had Bo Nix, Drake May, and Caleb Williams. All those guys are like or 25 years and younger there. So like it almost feels like there is a slight changing of the guard that's taking place. Not to say that because like when Mahomes was coming into the league, all right, there was still like Brady, Roethlisberger, like there were still some of like those old time guys who were still
Yeah.
getting it done too. So I'm intrigued to see how it moves with Buffalo because like the clock is speeding up on Allen, and I do think the path thing is interesting because I feel like Buffalo has always looked at Mahomes as this unmovable roadblock. And for all intents and purposes of what the playoffs have been for them historically, yes, he was. But I almost think the path this year was harder for them because I don't think this team was ever going to be capable of winning the war of attrition against these sets of teams that they would have to go up against. And like defensively, or what Josh Allen was gonna be faced with the opposition, the defenses he was gonna have to go up against, I don't know if this Buffalo team was ever built to win that war. And it's largely because you're playing these race to 20s, but we've seen this Buffalo offense get shut down. Like, I always harpen back to that Houston game on Thursday night, and we see what it looks like when you go up against an elite defense, and I don't think they were built to go through the likes of Jacksonville, funneled into at Denver, funneled into pick your poison at New England or at Houston. I don't think this team was really built to do that. And then if you did get to the Super Bowl, welcome. You get either Seattle or LA.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if they were built to go through that attrition.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from on it, especially with just defensively the way that they played too. It's like I said, they were the worst version of themselves they've been in the year where they got the easiest path. There's a certain irony in that.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it was the decision's been made, and we'll spend some of the offseason talking about it. The other game, obviously, Patriots and Texans. And I don't even want to talk about it because watching it was so despicable
Yeah.
on both sides. I mean, this was not an aesthetically pleasing game. I don't think either offense played well at all. The Patriots got the one good drive, the one-handed catch in the end zone by Booty for the touchdown. I thought Diggs, the catch he had for a touchdown on that little drive at the end of the first half, that was pretty special too. May fitting in a couple nice tight window throws. Diggs strong catching the football. Stroud was awful. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, I don't know how he even is able to operate with the offensive line he has in front of him, but that does not excuse how terrible he was in this specific game. He was awful. And I think he needs a reality check. I mean, Aikman damn near said it on the broadcast.
Yeah.
There's a reason he hasn't developed. Tyler, do you think that Aikman meant it's because he keeps going on podcasts and explaining how he's the best quarterback in the world instead of actually becoming the best quarterback he can be? Might that be the reason Aikman was alluding?
Yep.
Um, can I tell you just my reaction to this game and the big picture? Because my big picture draw, I want to see if you agree with me on something.
Okay.
I'm getting strong memories of a very recent Super Bowl that included the Los Angeles Rams. And I think we're seeing another version of it this year. Do you know which Super Bowl I'm talking about?
The one against the Patriots?
No. Explain to me how these New England Patriots are not a carbon fucking copy of the 2021 Bengals.
Oh. Um, I mean,
Maybe not in the way that
I
they play because they don't have like elite receivers everywhere and it's not some crazy offensively led team, but it is second year quarterback, takes a ton of sacks, had a remarkably easy path through the season, and now a remarkably easy path through the playoffs where he kind of played like shit. Because if you
yeah,
remember the 2021
Burrow,
Bengals,
yeah.
the playoff run was shitty, and then they got to the Super Bowl.
And like Burrow had the one really good game against Kansas City in the comeback to win.
Yeah, Burrowhead.
Um, but
But
outside of that, yeah, it
it
was not, and he played well in the Super Bowl too. But like outside of that, it was nothing really to write home about.
was it against the Raiders in the
Raiders
wild
was
card
the
round, and
first
he
game,
was
yeah.
he was shitty. He
They
was
only
like
kicked field
bad.
goals, or like maybe they had one touchdown and four field goals. I want to say they had like 19 points in the game. Um, but that I mean, like I just don't know who the Patriots are. I can't get a grasp, and I don't know when the reality check is going to come for them. I don't.
It might not.
Probably it might not. It might happen in the Super Bowl if they take care of business against Denver this week, but like I wouldn't count out the Broncos. I really wouldn't.
I
It
wouldn't either.
like if this game on Sunday can be 13-10. Who's going to score 13? Like Jared Stidham is perfectly capable of putting up 13 points. I get he's not a great quarterback at all. There's a reason he's a backup. I wouldn't even call him like a high caliber backup either. I mean, it's not like the Niners situation where you get to funnel in Mac Jones.
He hasn't thrown a ball in like 4 years.
Yeah. So I can't really wrap my arm around it, but I mean, if you have this Denver defense and they're getting after Drake May, I mean, you're talking about a Denver defense that gets after the quarterback like no one else in this league, and going up against the quarterback who takes sacks like no one else in this league.
Yep.
You get short fields out of that, or maybe even a defensive score. I know you don't handicap for stuff like that, but it's something that I think you can for in a matchup when you look at it this way. So
I,
I
I
think
think
you're
the
going to
part
see
of
some
it,
short fields for Jared Stidham.
the part of it that scares me is, and look, the Broncos have a way better offensive coach and play caller in Sean Payton than anything on the Texans sideline. And they have a great offensive line. Like Garrett Bowles is awesome. They have all pros on that line. Houston is just beyond compromised at the start of every play. So I think there's better opportunity on the Denver side to get something going. But my fear would be you see what happened with Houston against New England, where New England doesn't even have to be all that fucking special offensively because Houston's just going to gift them points. You know what I mean? Like if that's what Jarrett Stidham ends up doing, then you're in a trick box. I will say, just looking ahead, and again, we'll do picks later in the week, Denver's the only way I would ever play this game.
Well, can I tell you this too? Is there any way Jared Stidham plays worse than CJ Stroud did last week?
If Jarrett Stidham plays the worst game of his ability, it's probably as bad as CJ Stroud.
Yes.
Stroud was one of the most horrifyingly bad quarterback performances I've ever seen. It was fucking despicable. And I think every night he should go to bed and remember that he big broed Caleb Williams and then feel really fucking bad about the fact that he did that.
I look at like I don't think Sean Payton is going to allow Jared Stidham to play as poorly as CJ Stroud.
Kind of how I feel too.
Like the game plan is just going to be set in place where it may be frustrating as hell for a Broncos fan, but they're not going to let Jared Stidham make as many mistakes just because they're going to take the ball out of his hands. Listen, you may run the ball 3 straight times, including on a 3rd and 7 or something like that, but you're not going to turn the ball over because Jared Stidham is not going to give New England a short field the other way. I don't think he can possibly play as bad. Not that he's not capable of playing as poorly as CJ Stroud did. I just don't think Sean Payton's going to let him.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too. Do you have anything else on Patriots Texans? Because that's really where I'm at with it. Is like it was a disgusting watch. It was not aesthetically pleasing, and both teams blew. One of them had to stink worse.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, that's really all I have on the game too. It was such an eyesore of a game, and thank God Bears and Rams delivered later on that night.
All right. If you need any of the Bears recap, like I said, you can find it wherever you get your podcast, the Pick a Side tab. Also available on our YouTube channel. So if you want any of that stuff, it is available to you. That'll do it, I think, right? We're good?
That's all, yep.
That's what we got. For Tyler Rocky, I'm Shea Norling. It's another edition of the Pick a Side podcast.